If you've made it to the third video, then I already know something about you, and it's that you're not lazy. Lazy people don't watch 3 videos on how to improve their lives. You're just tired and fed up. And there's a difference, and it's a big one. You're hungry for change. So let me show you the mechanism that actually works. Let me show you how to get change for someone with ADHD so that it doesn't fall apart in a fortnight. For years, I waited to feel motivated. I'd wake up, see how I felt. If I was motivated, I would ride the wave and get loads done. And I'd crash afterwards and wait for the next bout of motivation, living my entire life on just whether or not I felt good on the day. Now here's what finally clicked. Motivation is a feeling, and it comes and goes with the tide. If you build your life on a feeling that shows up whenever it likes, you're almost guaranteed to be inconsistent, especially with ADHD. Not because you're weak, but because you've built your house on sand. So I stopped relying on motivation, and I started to identify my bottlenecks. And this is when everything changed. The method I use has 4 steps, and I call it the Lift Yourself ADHD Reset method. So the first of the 4 steps is the bottlenecks assessment. We do a thorough and scientifically backed assessment of all the glands and organs in the body and the systems of the body. So we get to see where might be holding you back. And from there, we whittle it down to create a plan of an order of attack as such, so we can approach things in a simple manner, one by one. Once you widen these bottlenecks and unblock the drain as such, you'll find your capacity and energy start to improve little by little, week in, week out. And sometimes you can have a huge dramatic effect in just the matter of a few weeks. This has an amazing effect for everyone, but particularly those who are struggling mentally, I find. A lot of the time when you're struggling mentally, you can't think yourself out of a bad situation when you're having these automatic negative thoughts. This is why sometimes therapy can take a really long time. When you improve the physical then leads into a momentum shift in the mental. And then the mental will help the physical too. You'll be more motivated to do the things you need to do to improve your physical health too. And you create this shift in the wheel. You change the direction and things start to work for you rather than against you. From here, we go to the second step. Now we're feeling a little bit better. We go into the motivation side of things. We get clear on what we want. We get a strong sense of our North Star. We set goals. We go into the different areas of our life and see what needs some love and care, what needs improving, where do we want to get to, what does our ideal look like, what does our nightmare look like, to give us a good sense of motivation. Now, you're probably thinking you've set goals before and you've tried to think of your ideal. But this is the thing, is I bet you haven't done it in this level of detail to the point where it really fires you up and gets you going. And then have you managed to remind yourself of it week in, week out so that you don't lose track of it? This is what makes all the difference, and it's what helps people with ADHD brains to keep on going and stay motivated. Even if motivation fluctuates, you'll still be on the right track because you know your end goal and your North Star, and you know which direction you're going in. This then brings us to the next step where we move our feet and we start to build the momentum. And this is where we do the reset step. This is where we get clear on the pillars that are going to move you forward week in, week out. And we build habits gradually and smartly in a way that is going to work for you. It's crucial here that we adopt a growth mindset and just treat anything that we previously would have seen as a failure as feedback to learn and grow, and then just adjust the plan as we go along. Once you do this and reduce the weight on your shoulders, you'll find that you're not going to be the person who tries and fails, but you're going to be the person who learns and grows, and things will start to compound. And this is the 4th step. It's the snowball phase, where you snowball into an identity shift. By doing these small habits week in, week out, you start to build this identity which matches your habits. And this identity is in line with what you previously set out in your goals, your ideal, your North Star. It's in line all together, and your habits will match what is your ideal life. You'll now be in a much better place to make goals, make changes, make adjustments to the plan, and keep going. Progress isn't going to be linear, and you're not going to be on this constant trajectory forever. It will be up and down, but the trajectory will be constantly upwards, and you'll be feeling better. You'll have more and more knowledge, and once you're in a better place, you'll start to believe more and more is possible. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, so let me say it for you. Marcus, I've heard of this before. Nothing works. I hear you, but think of why nothing's worked. because you've been chasing these symptoms, approaching things how a neurotypical person would. Imagine what happens when you actually identify these bottlenecks properly and you address them. If you've tried just chasing symptoms before, of course it didn't work. The strategies weren't made for you. They were made for a neurotypical brain. And these things being built for someone else doesn't mean that they don't work. It just means they were introduced to you at the wrong time. Or what about the thought that I'm too busy for this? This is such a common one. But here's the thing, is that everyone faces this in some way, shape or form. Busyness is always going to be there to some degree. But the chaos and the overwhelm, they're not completely separate from the problem. ADHD makes these things worse. And if you're not doing anything, it's just going to get worse and worse, and it's going to snowball in the opposite direction. So you can either approach things thinking that you can't do anything because you're too busy and use it as an excuse, or you can accept it and go, what can I do to take things off my plate? What small steps can I still take in the right direction? So at least I'm improving gradually, even if it's slowly. And I can promise you that a lot of the time, the progress actually is a lot quicker than people think. Once you get into a better place, again, you start to realize more is possible. And here's the third thought that some of you might be having, and that's, I'm not ready yet. And if you'll allow me to be honest with you, is that 100% certainty will never be there. It's impossible. The I'm not ready yet is a complete trap. And it's an easy one to fall into. Trust me, I've been there. I was the king of excuses and delaying starts. Waiting to feel ready is just the motivation trap wearing a different coat. You don't need to feel ready to start improving your life. You just need to be curious to have a look and be honest with yourself. And here's the thing, you've already done the hard things. You've been through the tough times. You've achieved amazing things in the absolute last minute conditions where you've been running on nothing. Things like the all-nighters at university. And you've done these things that actually are great achievements and tough to do. It's just you've been too busy labeling yourself as a mess to actually acknowledge how well you've done. So give yourself that credit and draw a line in the sand and start to rebuild that self-trust that has been steadily eroding over time. This is what I love to watch people do, is just start to rebuild that self-trust little by little through celebrating these small wins that they're not even acknowledging properly. So here's what I'd like to offer you. If you've been watching these videos and you're thinking, this sounds like me, or you're curious to what these changes could look like for you, then I'd like to invite you to take the next step. I've put together the Lift Yourself ADHD Reset system, a system that I use with my clients to help them go from feeling overwhelmed, anxious, exhausted, and out of control, to feeling calmer, more energized, more structured, and more in control of their lives. Inside, you'll learn how to build stability, improve your health, create systems and routines that actually stick, and to build momentum and start trusting yourself again. If you're ready to stop guessing and finally build a life that works with your ADHD rather than against it, then click the link below to find out more. I'd love to help you take back control of your life and start moving in the right direction. And I'd love to hear your story.